We are working on a 1965 Chevelle quarter window frame. The shop owner needs to build up the corners to add strength to the pot metal. We are using the Super Alloy 1 rod and flux. Notice the frame is copper plated. The old way of soldering pot metal was to copper plate the part, as typical solders would not adhere. We broadly heat the parent metal, dip the rod into the flux, put the flux on until the flux turns brown, lay the rod in. It's just that simple. The Super Alloy 1 will solder to copper plating, zinc plating, cadmium plated metals, and of course bare pot metal. Pot metal is notoriously weak, and it only gets worse throughout its lifetime. We want to build it up and add some strength before placing it back into the car. This side looks great. We're going to clean off the flux residue and solder the back side. Introducing Heat Freeze Heat Absorption Paste. The Heat Freeze will keep the soldered part from remelting while working on the opposite side. Because the Heat Freeze is doing its job by keeping the pot metal cool, we will need to heat the rod and flux directly. As you can see, it's taking a lot longer for that flux to turn brown. The Heat Freeze is fantastic for protecting paint, glass, rubber, wood, plastic, etc. It can mold to almost any surface and be employed in any position. It looks like we reached our working temperature and the rod is adhering to this side. Here's the shop owner giving it a try. The torch only had one setting, which was full blast. Not a problem if that's the only torch on hand. Pull the torch tip back or keep the torch constantly moving to prevent the pot metal from reaching the melting point of 787 Fahrenheit. Watching the flux will prevent the metal from collapsing. If the flux turns black, stop heating the part. Allow the pot metal to cool down, rinse the burnt flux off with warm water and start over. He did a great job. Now we're going to flip it over and do the other side. Imagine if we did not have the heat freeze for this job. We would have a heck of a time building up the solder to strengthen the part on the opposite side of this window frame. You know the old saying, you're only as good as the tools you have. We let the part cool naturally, clean the flux off with warm water and a wire brush, and that's it. And thanks to the Heat Freeze heat paste, we had no solder remelt on the opposite side. As long as you keep the Heat Freeze clean, you can place it back in the jar and use it over and over. Subscribe by clicking the little welder guide and tell a friend about the Super Alloy 1 and the Heat Freeze heat paste at MuggyWeld.com, and that the impossible is possible when you Muggy Weld it.